Joining me now is Gregg Roman, former official of the the Israeli Ministry of Defense and Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Gregg is the executive director now of the Middle East Forum, a research institute dedicated to promoting American interests in the Middle East. Gregg, thanks for being with us. I want to start with your reaction to what we just heard. What role do you think Russia is going to play here?
Russia has a key role in Iran's nuclear program insofar as it relies on having the shared nuclear reactor, which is in the south of the country, supplied with uranium, Russian uranium, and also with Russian expertise in providing nuclear power. But beyond that, Iran has a deep defense relationship with Russia insofar as it relates to the export of Iranian drones, the Shahed 136, and also a lot of other know-how that is in Ukraine. As a result of that, Russia has a unique ability to influence the Iranians as a weapons provider and also weapons importer. And I think right now that President Trump may ask the Russians to hedge on the Iranians to stop their malign activity and maybe order to get some concessions from the U.S. as it relates to Ukraine.
Do you think this was an act of escalation from the U.S. or peace through strength, as both President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu have said?
I think this is a culmination of a plan that was hashed on February 3rd and 4th of this year when Prime Minister Netanyahu visited President Trump as the first world leader to really be able to get into the meat of U.S. policy in the United States about 5 months ago. And as a result, they played a dual game. One was the U.S. was responsible for running the diplomatic track, giving the Iranians 60 days with Special Envoy Witkoff to negotiate a solution. The U.S. outsourced its military role to the country of Israel, and in doing so said on day 61, if the Iranians don't get a deal, you go ahead and we'll get to the point where you weaken their air defenses, you weaken their infrastructure, and we'll finish the job at Isfahan, Fordo, and Natanz, their three main nuclear enrichment facilities.
Do you think these strikes give President Trump and America the upper hand in negotiations, if that is even a possibility now?
I do, because I think this is the first time that in 80 years of conflict in the post-nuclear world, we now find ourselves in a situation where the U.S. didn't deal with China, it didn't deal with Russia, it didn't deal with North Korea, but for the first time, the U.S. promised that a nascent nuclear power would not be able to obtain nuclear weapons, and it carried through with its promise to carry military action if diplomacy failed. And in doing so, the Iranians on their back heels. They don't have any other options, which are between the binary option of having the regime survive or pursuing their weapons and seeing the regime fall. And in doing so, the Iranians only have one logical choice. If they choose the latter, there won't be an Islamic Republic after another few weeks.
And here's the question sort of everybody wants the answer to now. It is the big unknown. How do you think Iran is going to respond and retaliate?
Iran has three options. They could have a conventional response, which would mean missiles and drones against U.S. targets in the Middle East. But I think they won't choose the obvious path. They'll pursue a symmetrical one, which is the second option. They pursue mining the Straits of Hormuz, cyber attacks, asymmetrical warfare against soft American targets, both here at home with sleeper cells and also overseas. And their third option, which would invite the destruction of the country, which still is on their desk, is a potential conventional attack using a dirty bomb or other radiological means. I hope they don't pursue the third, the second, or the first, but the second is the most likely.
Yeah, all right. That third would be absolutely horrible. Gregg Roman, thank you for going through the options with us and your expertise added to the conversation. We appreciate it.
Thank you.